What should you expect from your real estate agent in that critical period between when you go under contract and when you close on the sale of your home? That's what we'll talk about next. Hi, I'm Kelly Vandever. I'm a real estate agent in the Atlanta, Georgia area with Keller Williams, North Atlanta. You're selling your house, you're working with a real estate agent. What should you expect during that important time period between when you go under contract and when you close on the sale of your home? One of the most important things you can rely on with your real estate agent is their advice. Unless you've sold and bought a ton of homes, they've seen it a lot more often than you have. They can give you advice on what's reasonable and other things to consider. Going through the process, the real estate agent has the expertise and can negotiate on your behalf based on what is important to you. The real estate agent is not the boss of you. You ultimately make the decision when it comes to what happens with your house, but they can help you with that process in going through the home inspection, what to negotiate with regards to that. If the appraisal comes back low, what you can do with regards to that. I can't speak for all brokerages, but in Keller Williams, the other agents are extremely supportive. Even if I've never come across a particular situation, others in my firm are more than willing to add their additional expertise. Once you've decided on your position, then your agent can negotiate on your behalf. You don't have to have those difficult conversations with the home buyers. That's what your agent is for, to represent your best interest. As an agent, I also help the other agent come up with the wording for the people buying the home to make them understand why my client's position is in everybody's best interest. I'm working hard to close that deal for the best terms for my client. Another responsibility of your agent during this time period is coordination of all the documentation. I make sure the purchase and sale agreement get to all the applicable parties, both sides of the transaction, my brokerage, the closing attorney, and the lender. I provide a list of important dates to the other agents to make sure that we are on the same page as far as when all the deadlines are. I follow up with the buyer's agent to make sure that the earnest money has been deposited, and I file a copy of that verification with my brokerage. If any changes are agreed to the original purchase and sale agreement, then those have to be properly documented with amendments in order to be legally binding. Either I or the other agent will prepare those documents and make sure they're signed by everybody and make sure that copies are provided to both parties, to the closing attorney, to the lender, and to the brokerages. As the agent for the seller, I also work with my client to get copies of invoices or photos for any changes that were agreed to. And then I make sure the broker, the lender, the closing attorney, and both parties get all that information. Basically, we are responsible to make sure all the documents are there, provided to everybody so that we know that the contract is good and that we're going forward. I also prepare instructions for the closing attorney, which is how they account for the commissions for the real estate agents and any other agreed upon terms between the agents and their clients. I collect the information from my client about the utilities and provide that to the people buying the home and make sure they coordinate when one service ends and when the new owner will pick up paying for those services. I coordinate with my client and the other agent and the closing attorney's office to schedule a particular time on the closing date. And I review and make sure my client gets a copy of the closing statement prior to the closing date. Another critical responsibility of the agent is to monitor the deadlines and to keep track of the progress of the loan approval. Because time is of the essence, and that's legal jargon, I'm closely monitoring the agreed to deadlines. Specifically, that's the earnest money payment, the due diligence period, the appraisal contingency period, the financial contingency period, any special stipulations, and any repair deadlines. Additionally, if there's a lender involved, I'm in constant contact with that lender to make sure everything is progressing with that loan. Are they getting the documentation they need from the client? Have they got the information they need from the HOA? Is there anything that's hanging up this loan going through and getting approved? I want to make sure there are no concerns on the part of the lender. And finally, as the real estate agent, I can provide recommendations. If you don't have a regular contractor or a cleaner or a moving company, ask your real estate agent for recommendations. Because I've worked with multiple clients, I've collected a group of service professionals that I feel good about recommending to my clients. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are almost there. It's time to talk about closing day in the next video. For a guide on the overall process flow in selling your house, follow the link below. If you'd like some help selling your house in the Metro Atlanta area, I'd love to work with you. Please reach out.